Hey, Brantley, I figured out what it was. It has nothing to do with the panel. It's the auto resize client control on the tab control.
Okay. I didn't change that, did I?
No, but I guess at some point in my code, that's what broke it or whatever. But yeah.
I didn't change it from your broken code to my non-broken code. So.
No, but I mean, I can take out all your code and go back to my old code and just make that one change, and it goes back to working. So.
Anyway. All right, we are live and on the air. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a lovely Thursday afternoon, and we are here mainly to provide you support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you have any of those, always feel free to jump over to foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live, and you can join our IRC chat in a couple ways there. If we don't have any questions or things to go over with our software, then we'll spend the time just talking about random stuff, and you can join in on that conversation as well. And I would like to take a quick minute here for whatever the hater is that's watching our stream, apparently just to thumbs down it. I just want to let you know that we do take your anonymous review highly, highly to heart, and we are doing this show just for you. So get ready to click down today. But doesn't bother us at all, actually. It's just kind of funny. So we do have a couple questions that came up yesterday that we weren't able to fully get into because we didn't have the correct test setups and such. It takes a little bit of time to set up a domain and do some testing on that stuff. But I have that today, so we can check that out and look at some of the auto login stuff. I did find out some fairly interesting things. The biggest thing is it looks like the boot looping does not happen anymore. It just tries to log in the first time, and then you get an error message, and you hit OK, and then you can log in like regular. But I did want to show off the rebooting into a domain, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. We'll wait for it to catch up on the stream. So should see it there, and should appear on the stream here in a second if it's not already for you.
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it on the stream. Are you not seeing my screen share at all?
No, I don't. Here it is.
Is everybody else?
I see it.
I know you probably know how to join a domain, Phoenix. I was talking about having a domain system set up and ready to test, which requires doing a server and things of that nature. So that takes a little bit more time. You probably also want to do your fit to screen size. There we go. And could probably make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, there you go. All right, so in this setup, what we have here is we have a system connected to a domain. So you can see all that right here, got it connected to a domain. And we were asking about the auto login yesterday, and that you can get to right here. So users internal auto login options, or if you click on the session info, if you have your tab here refreshed, I mean not session info, sorry, if you click on the number work name, you can do it here, which you can also do at the beginning of a session. So Those are two options to do it. But we're going to go through this menu and just kind of show it off here. So we got internal login. You have a drop down where you can pick users. This is my domain user. This is my local account. When you're doing a domain, you want to put in the domain name. This is the password I have set up for that, but we're going to type in a completely wrong password and hit apply here. And then we're just going to reboot the system. And what we should see is, since we put in the wrong password, normally if it's on a normal, regular, local computer account, then the password would be changed or blanked out if you leave it blank, but it would change the local computer user's password. On a domain, however, it doesn't have access to change things on Active Directory, so it can't make those changes there. And what we should see is it not boot loop. That's the one thing I wanted to show off here with that. And we have to give it a second because I am running a couple virtual machines and a domain and all that stuff on top of this. So.
And images and words are clearer on the Twitch stream than they are on the YouTube stream.
You said images and words. Stream Theater album.
Oh, okay.
So we can see that it just gives us a message saying that it was incorrect. We say OK, and then we can enter the correct password. So that's how it works on domains. Now I did do some testing with Windows 7 or Windows 10 as well here, and it looks like they've changed things yet again. Windows 8, it is correct how I was explaining it yesterday. You do it the same way we did it here with the login, but I'll show you my Windows 10 system here. So let's give that a second to boot up while I close these out. And start that one. Yeah, they do try to make it a hassle with Windows 10. So, good news is I did figure out the way that it works. So I'll show you that here. Windows 8, I'm pretty sure, is the one I was testing on, where you would have to split the email address up that you're signed in with your Microsoft account. For the username, you use the user part of the email, and for the domain, you'd use the domain of the email. So everything after that symbol goes in the domain box, the username goes in the username box, and then you put the password in. Same thing would happen with a domain. If it doesn't work, it'll give you that error message. If it does work, it will just sign in as regular. But on Windows 10, they of course did it a little bit differently. That's apparently what they like to do. So with Windows 10, I found out that it will not log in with the Microsoft account, although I should mention that this system was originally set up with a local user account, and then I added the Microsoft account. That could play an effect somehow. So if you sign in originally with a Microsoft account, that might set things up differently.
Yours won't log in with the Microsoft account?
Not on this version of Windows 10, where I had a local user set up, and then I went through the user and added the Microsoft account, which I can show off here because I created a.
That's how I have my last dev machine set up. Not the newest one.
Yeah, so this was originally a Microsoft, or this was originally a local user account, and then I came in here and added my Microsoft account, and it says that I'm signing in with the Microsoft account. You can see sign in with local account instead. But if we go into the users and auto login options, in our drop-down list, we get the local user. And if we put the password in for that, it works. But I'm going to try the Microsoft account here first.
I think it's associated that with your local user rather than making a separate profile for it.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah, I think if you have a separate profile, if you create like like another Microsoft account that's not associated with your user, I think then it would allow you to auto log in with that.
Yeah, I had that happen. Notice in setting up my Microsoft account on both my laptop and my desktop, and then trying to switch the laptop with a local account and what it was doing there. Because I noticed that the profile name was not being changed from what my old user was versus what it was on the other machine that was created automatically when I started out from a Microsoft account. So it either it's always doing the association, but it's either creating one or using one that's already there.
So I did. Better, Microsoft. All right, so I'll sign in with the local account, so it's not signed into my Microsoft account. Then we'll add the user's Microsoft account and then try signing in that way.
I think you'd need to add a separate one up. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Oh, okay. Why you sign in with the local? Never mind.
So this is signing in with the local, and I'm going to use the local to add an additional user, which is not what I did before.
I thought you said that's what you did before because it was originally.
No, I did this. So it's a local account, and then I said sign in as a Microsoft account instead. This is what I didn't do, which is adding a separate user, which, nope, that's just, we'd have to go under family and other users. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we'll try signing in with the Microsoft account. And I believe that was, how did I spell that? Seriously. Testing my test setup. There we go. Microsoft has to love seeing email accounts getting created like this. Test was already taken, by the way. So, all right. So now, what's that?
Dang it! I wanted that one.
Yeah, oh, me too. That's what I tried first, but nope. All right. So now we got this one added as another user on here. Can we log out this way? Sign out. Gosh, that is super blurry on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Wonder why that is. Maybe we need to crank up the frame rates on that. All right, so now let's try our testing setup. Beavis, stay tuned until the end when we do a couple links here, because I do have one specifically for you that is an awesome Lego sculpture that turns into shadows. It's actually pretty freaking sweet, but we'll get to that after all this stuff here. Lots of great features to be excited about. I guess we'll get to it while we're waiting on that to set up here. Let's see if I can find that one specifically. Yeah, here we go. So while y'all wait, check that out. That's actually a pretty cool thing. I don't really think it's even an ugly Lego creation by itself, but it's pretty sweet. You add a spotlight to it and it casts shadows on the wall of different figures depending on how it's positioned. It had to take a ton of time and like architecture and stuff to figure out. So
Nice.
all right, so it finally started up for me. So let's get d7II started. And of course I put d7II on the desktop, so I have to go around to get to that. And desktop, and d7II, and we will start her up here. No, why is my account not even an administrator on this thing? That's crazy. Oh well, we'll see how that goes. All right, while we wait on that to get set up, we talked about RetroPie being updated yesterday or the day before, I believe, and there is a super sweet arcade setup if you want to have a personal arcade machine via emulators. That is a nice setup there. The wood, oh, that's just sweet. And we should be set up here. So we'll go to users, auto-login. And see, this is what's confusing here is because see, it still sets up a regular account without that. So that doesn't even have the full username, which is testing my test setup. And we'll try putting in the actual password for it, see if it logs in here this way. And then we would do the outlook.com and apply. I did have that enabled. No, I did not. The testing my test up. And outlook.com. So now if we apply changes, now my account's administrator. Thanks, D7. Alright, so now it's auto logged in, so we'll try the reboot again. And while we wait on that reboot, here's some good ransomware news. Dutch police have seized command and control centers for the wildfire locker ransomware, and they have released decryptors for it. So if you've been infected with that one, you now have the ability to decrypt your software. So Yay for that. Michael was talking about he wanted a Raspberry Pi 3 but didn't want to invest in it, so here's a link for that. You can spend $100 on arrow.com and they'll give you a Raspberry Pi 3.
$100 seems a little expensive for a Pi 3. I did use the.
Well, you get your other stuff that you're ordering from arrow.com, which I don't even know what that is.
You had sent me or you had posted a while back on a show regarding a nice kit to get the starter kit for the Pi 3. I passed that along to my brother, and he got it, and he was very happy with it. It worked very well for him. So I want to pass that along to thank you for that link that you had sent, and I'll probably get a similar bundle if I decide to get a 3. Although the 2 is keeping me happy, and I have others now. So
Arrow.com looks like it has a bunch of stuff on it, so you could buy a bunch of things and then.
Did you hear about that new $5 one, like that's supposed to go up against the Pi Zero? There's a lot of news stories about it, but I'm a little upset with its specs. Coming in at like 64 or 128 megs of RAM and a 600 or 700 megahertz processor. I think it was 600 something. But it seems way underpowered in comparison. And when you start to consider that the price difference, doesn't seem to be that great. I mean, if it was similar performance at the reduced cost, with what it has, with the additional features that it has compared to the Zero, I think it might be a good choice. But it's really a different product altogether.
All right. So see, with Windows 10, it doesn't do it that way. You have to have, you just do it as like a local account now. So apparently they've changed that yet again. And since we've showed it not working here, we'll go ahead and show it working. I hate how Windows screws with things like that. All right, while we wait on my slow system, here's yet another reason to love Adult Swim. They're apparently coming out with a video game for Jam and Earl, almost, I think it was 30 years after the original, or 25 years after the original was made on Sega Genesis. Have any of y'all played Jam and Earl before?
No.
No.
Pretty fun game. All right, so we will pick our. So this one is my local account, so I'm guessing this one is that account. We'll try that. Then we'll reboot. Oh, and all you iPhone lovers out there, while we wait, there's apparently an issue if you touch your iPhone too much, it'll break the touchscreen. So if you ever have your touchscreen feeling unresponsive, make sure you're still in the warranty or have the phone insurance so that you can get a new one slightly cheaper
And it has
than
to do
buying
with the
another
ball
microphone.
solder joints that they used on one of the chips that controls that the screen, the touch input on the screen. The ball joints where as you press onto the device and it kind of, I guess, over time cause it to wobble a little bit and eventually wears out those ball joints and they break. And the more and more it's used, they eventually, once the distance, gets, initially it will appear as if it's just maybe not responsive enough. Things like that. They also say that certain times lines can appear on the screen of that nature, indicating that this is forthcoming.
But
If you see any of that
it
behavior,
says
good indication.
it says actually a flickering gray bar will appear at the top of the screen. After that, the phone is toast.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty that's a pretty bad one. But I think there's also one where it stops responding as well too, or you have to push harder on it or whatever for it to get the response. And I think that's
And that's because of their pressure sensitivity thing that they introduced.
I know I
that
just
they didn't implement very well.
well, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
apparently.
related to that, but it's really the solder joint issue. It's if they had
Well,
done
the
a better
solder
solder
joint wouldn't be an issue if they didn't introduce that touch feature. So, all right. So we see that Windows 10 logged in perfectly well there. Wonderbar. So that is that one answered. And Thermos didn't join us today, but I do have one more demo for him. And that is the CryptoPrevent version 8 and upgrading it. So I have this one set up. And I'll have to do one other thing here. White label. Okay. All right. So while we wait on my virtual systems to get set up for this, I got one thing to do before we can do that. So again, I thought this was pretty interesting and kind of the look out for your common man with technology. So there was a horrible earthquake, 6.2 only, in Italy, central Italy, and it has killed 120 people and trapped countless others under debris. But they've put out a plea for all the citizens that still have internet access to go through and turn off your password on the Wi-Fi so that people can access it and not have issues, or can have internet access if they don't have internet access. So they're essentially asking everyone to turn off their Wi-Fi passwords, which I kind of disagree with. I would prefer you set up your guest wireless, possibly, not just turn off your password on your home network, especially since so many smart devices and things like that are connected and do not have very good security implemented. I would recommend setting up a guest wireless in those situations, but I mean, if you can't do that and you don't know how, most people I wouldn't think are going to take advantage of you in a time of crisis like that, but there are still those people. So just keep that in mind. But I thought it was cool that they're asking people to do that. I just wouldn't completely recommend it myself. That way, at least. But things to think about if there's a major crisis and you need to give back to your community quickly and easily. I thought this was really fun for all the conspiracy theorists out there. HARPA is finally opening its doors to a open house, and this is the government program that supposedly just studies weather and things of that nature, but has been long conspiracy theoried of manipulating it.
How do you got to go
weather.
there, though? How far away is that place that you have to go there to visit there? You really think anybody's going to take them up on that? Unless they pay for the plane flight. You got to fly like to northern Alaska, don't you? Or Alaska somewhere, right?
It's like in Washington area.
Is
And
it?
they actually have a few stations everywhere, but I don't know where specifically the open house is. But I would also kind of lean to the side of the conspiracy theorist in that, now they're offering us an open house after having made sure everything is set up and ready to show off, not actually show us what is really going on there. Like, why did it take them this long to respond to conspiracy theorists? Because they had to construct a huge veil or thing that, like the Wizard of Oz, to protect them. So the question yesterday was upgrading version 8, CryptoPrevent Whitelabel, if you already had it installed, and I said you should be able to install over top of it, but I wasn't sure, so I went through and I have done just that. This system had the Whitelabel version 7 installed, and I've just installed CryptoPrevent version 8 that I created with the version 8 CryptoPrevent Whitelabel creator. And you can see that it will go through and apply protections. I did notice 2 things that I'm going to have to fix in another update. One thing is if you have different settings set here, some things may pick up, some things may not. So you may want to still uninstall and reinstall just to make sure everything is clean and fresh. But I do highly recommend that you restart the PC, because when I did it this morning, I don't believe the services started correctly. They got installed, so they would start on the next reboot, but I'm not sure why they didn't start. Let's check here and just see if that's the same case. Or yeah, so you would want to reboot once you installed it and applied protections again. So at the worst, you would have to reboot, and then those services would be active and running. But then I'd also noticed that if you had advanced shown previously and didn't have it checked this time, as I did in this one. Oh no, I didn't in this one. There was an issue where the advanced options got left, but it didn't open up the advanced window. It opened up something else and looked kind of funky. So I have plans to fix that as well. So you can install it over top of itself and things should work. Just remember to reapply protections first off and then reboot your system afterwards. And then everything should be hunky-dory. But again, with all the CryptoPrevent software, I highly recommend uninstalling and then installing fresh, just to make sure things are as they should be. So, but yeah, if you're out there, Thermos, listening later, there's your answer for that. And I believe that is all for right now. We got anything else here? Jay Chamberlain, we're gonna have to look and see what's going on with yours tomorrow, because you got.
Please.
I think you may have just completely borked that test system, possibly, with all the testing, which I've done several times, which is why my test systems are all now snapshots in VMs.
Has he already scheduled with us a time? Has he confirmed that yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay, good.
There tomorrow. So.
I sent you a meeting invitation.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, we'll jump on there tomorrow, and I've switched from screen sharing, Proctor. But yeah, I think those are going pretty good. I'm glad he got me to test out that Whitelabel so I can test that stuff out and find that issue. And we'll have some more updates coming with it. Phoenix, I was actually going to show off the Holy Crypt thing that I have. I've actually gotten it to the point where it will encrypt about 1 or 2 files, maybe 10 files at the most, but then we'll stop it. But then I ran into some issues with the system that I was testing it on, so I'd have to kind of set that all back up and start again. So maybe I can do that one tomorrow, but that was one that you had asked about specifically, and I've been doing a lot of testing with it because it does fairly well on its encryption speed. So I like using that one as a test to find out if my protection is blocking it, which again, if some files get encrypted, that's going to be expected. It is going to depend on what your computer's doing at the time and other various variables, but shouldn't get everything, and that's the biggest thing there. So I thought that was pretty cool. But maybe we can show that one off more tomorrow. So Phoenix has had a bunch of links, and he's been reposting them just to make sure that we've seen them here. He did have some cool ones. WhatsApp is going to share your data with Facebook. Hey, guess what? Facebook bought them, so surprise, surprise on that. Germany and France declare war on encryption to fight terrorism. Completely stupid way to do it, but this article also shows you how stupid the French authorities are, apparently, because they're threatening to file lawsuits over pictures having been placed on the internet. Like those are going to disappear, not just become more popular because you're threatening that. So great job, France. Didn't expect much more from them. But let's see what else he's got. Easy to Boot's got another beta out again, and Cloudflare fights the IRAA's privacy blocking demands in court. So cool thing for Cloudflare there. I do have a couple more interesting things on Cloudflare. Let's see if I can get those pulled up. Yeah, so I thought this was a super funny exchange and highlights some issues and concerns with privacy versus protections that you might not be aware of is going on the internet behind your eye there. So that's Cloudflare posted a blog about the trouble with Tor, and then the next day Tor posted a blog about the trouble with Cloudflare. And I see where Cloudflare is coming from, but I also see more of where Tor is coming from and how Cloudflare is blocking things. Doesn't really make that much sense. And of course, they got some proprietary things that they're not telling us about so that we can't see exactly how things are getting blocked. But essentially, it comes down to blacklisting an IP, and then if that IP is blacklisted in Cloudflare, then you'll end up getting a capture or something. And if your IP is a Tor address and you're using that as an exit node, then you're going to have that IP and you're going to have those issues. It is kind of aggravating, and it is kind of annoying that Cloudflare needs to use your browser identity to allow you to a page or not and determine if you're doing a DOS or something. So, I lean more with Tor on this. And this is a little bit old. It was from back in March this year, but I just saw it recently and thought that was a pretty interesting back and forth debate there. Again, I lean more towards the Cloudflare side on that, or the Tor side on that one, because it makes more sense to me.
I just was looking over at the chat, and it hadn't scrolled in a minute. And I have my window and hex chat sized perfectly so that the URL you posted for the Engadget Italian earthquake thing, like the very next line, which is all I see, is asswords /.
Nice.
I don't know why I felt like sharing that.
And Phoenix, yeah, that's another good link too that we hadn't talked about. I saw it a couple days ago. I'm kind of on that too, but there's a group of activists that want to shut down all the Tor nodes on September 1st because of the whole Jacob Applebaum thing. I honestly think that's ridiculous. I don't agree with that at all, and I think company affairs should be handled outside of the actual company products. But hey, whatever. Yeah. Go ahead. You can
Oh, I
disagree.
just felt like doing that to make you pause. I'd realized it was what you were talking about that caused me to look and see that first thing. But anyway, the Cloudflare Tor thing. But anyway.
Yeah. Those are actually very interesting blogs if you read through both of them. They both make good points, but from what Cloudflare explained and the way Tor came back on it, it does seem a little bit shady on Cloudflare's part. So, especially claiming that 90% of all Tor traffic is malicious.
Oh,
That's almost insane. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, anyway, Salt Lake City, next Google Fiber has gone live. So, unfortunately, if you're outside of Provo, like Mike at Envise Solutions is, he can't get Google Fiber. He is so close yet so far away. Yeah, 90% of 10% is more like it. But yeah, it's another Google Fiber place up and running, so they're slowly expanding. Hopefully someday they'll reach my backwaters neck of the woods here. Have y'all heard any more about Raleigh and it getting Google Fiber? That's about the closest thing to any of us getting Google Fiber, actually.
There's, I think they're, I think they're slowing down a little bit. Because they're starting to see more, I think, pushback, and they're concerned about costs too. So that type of news that I was hearing doesn't sound too positive for quickly going into those newer areas. But they did commit also too. On the other hand, they did commit completely to continuing with it. So, it's hard to say. But it kind of.
Are you talking about in general or just Raleigh?
No, I'm talking about in general, not Raleigh specifically, but
talking about Raleigh, and I haven't heard any of those concerns on Google Fiber otherwise.
Well, it's the same last mile issues that kind of rose expenses for, and particularly in an area like Raleigh, I imagine that's going to be a little bit higher possibly than some other areas. But the what do you call it? The who did this for Fios, Verizon. I don't think, again, they're not stopping like Verizon did with Fios. Actually,
yeah, Verizon just did a terrible job.
Yeah, with that. I mean, they started out okay, and then they just gave up. My brother, though, if you are in an area with it, though, it's still reasonably good. My brother and a good friend of mine up in Richmond have that service, and they get a symmetric connection, which, the up and down speeds are the same, so that's advantageous. Although they don't have quite for the same price that they're paying, they don't have quite the same download speeds, though the cable is actually starting to rival those initial Fios rollouts. That
far better prices than their mobile options that they have. That's the most insane to me, is they have the data plans on mobile if you're using it at home. Like, you can get a home mobile based router, so if you can get good cell service but you can't get any other kind of internet, you can get a home router that does internet through the cell phone, but they still charge you by the day or by the byte there. And it's like, really? I mean, that would end up costing me like thousands of dollars a year, tens of thousands of dollars a month if I ended up trying to use that as my regular internet. I did the pricing on it when I was in Colorado, and I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Charlotte shows is currently having Google Fiber.
Yeah, I knew Charlotte had it, but I thought Raleigh was a planned.
It is. Yeah, it's
was the
still
next-
upcoming fiber city,
Yeah, so they're still working on it.
and also some of the surroundings area: Carborough, Chapel Hill, Garner, Raleigh, Cary, Durham, and Mooresville.
Oh, nice. I'm surprised that they didn't go for your area, the Tri-Point area.
Yeah, the Triad. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have thought you would have hit. Yeah, close. I would have thought you would have hit a lot. They would have hit a lot more people that way, but I guess maybe not.
I think there are probably more people in the Triangle than the Triad.
Yeah. Yeah, Beavis, it's not that. It's Netflix that really does it. And I guess some torrents too, maybe, but still. I thought this was super interesting. So the best way to go downhill on a bike is full Superman style, and also would appear to me to be the most dangerous. So just keep that in mind if you decide to try that one out. Oh, I thought this was interesting. Nick, you'll especially find this interesting with your Nexus phone here. The great thing about Project Wi-Fi is they have the ability to join trusted Wi-Fi networks and offload your data costs. And apparently they have a list of it, and that's how it determines if it's a trusted network or not. But they're going to bring that ability to Nexus phones so that you can possibly offload your data and phone calling and things like that if you're.
I don't think I like that idea.
Trusted Wi-Fi network. Yeah, I could see issues with it, but I mean, with your phone on the network, I don't really think that's that big.
And it didn't. I mean, isn't that all the Project Fi thing where you have to have that service or whatever?
It's part of it, but they're actually bringing it to Nexus phones for that specific portion.
Okay. So I don't like that option either. It's like the two crappiest wireless networks on the, at least in this country, and then they're,
Yeah.
now they want to bring untrusted networks everywhere. I mean, trusted? Nah. Yeah. Pass.
It's got some interesting things going on with it, but I've met a few people that have Project Fi and they love it. These are not people that do a lot of off-road camping and outside of data ranges, but I have lived off of Sprint mobile network going through Freedom Pop before, and it is very weak, but I mean, in most of your general population areas, you're going to have service and be fine with it. So if you're just using it in town and things like that, then yeah. Yeah, and that's true, Beavis. That's the other side of it. Although, from what I understand, is when they connect to a Wi-Fi, they automatically encrypt everything coming out of your phone. So, I haven't looked at all the technical details of it because I don't have it, so it isn't that much interesting to me. But I don't even have a Nexus phone, so I won't get that feature. But
hey, Phoenix, quit putting Michael's password in the chat. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. No spaces. No spaces though. Capital T.
Throwing a number every once in a while.
Yeah, everything is tapped nowadays. If you didn't watch last night's Mr. Robot, you're missing out. They've definitely come back full circle, and hopefully will be going great going forward. So, I thought this was pretty cool. Facebook apparently has a advanced AI vision tech, and it's now opening it to everyone. So it looks like it can pick things out or make things different colors or something to that effect. I didn't actually read too much into the article. I was just surprised that Facebook is allowing that for everyone. So it looks like it's picture detection stuff, which I guess it makes sense to allow it for everyone so they can gather more data about it. If you want a really creepy soundbite for a little while, here is Hal and Samantha talking to each other. And actually a pretty creepy conversation. So it's pretty cool how they work that out, though. So apparently it is the 100th anniversary of the U.S. national parks. Great places to go if you've never been to any of them. But Google is now offering 360-degree tours of the 5 different parks. So you got Alaska, Hawaii, New Mexico, Utah, and Florida. Some of the national parks there, you can do 360-degree tours of them. So that's awesome. And also, it looks like Oculus VR are doing something similar, but they have President Obama celebrating it there. So there's that as well. What else we got? Oh, speaking of Facebook and gathering data, so I've been wanting someone to come out with a PC gaming platform, but this is the last person that I wanted to come out with it. Facebook is launching its own PC gaming platform. So now you can play Candy Saga and Stupid Farming.
Thought they already had that.
Or something. I don't know. I, again, didn't read too much in that article, but just thought the headline was interesting. Thought this was really interesting as well, and I'm surprised that Phoenix, this wasn't one of your links here, but so the U.S. is giving up control of the internet in October. Specifically, the domain registration they're handing over to ICANN, the international nonprofit for stuff. So see how that goes, I guess. I think the U.S. has been doing a pretty decent job at it.
What's the reason for them doing that? You
know, because everybody in the world is complaining about the U.S. controlling the internet.
It's really not that big of a deal, though. Who gives the names out? I mean,
really not. But apparently, it is to the rest of the world.
But
just have things to ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, if anything, you might argue that the U.S. was at fault for not having the some of those changing issues with, you know, like the .x things that we've talked about and other types of stuff. I mean, that you could potentially say may have been not handled as well as it could have been, but I really don't think an international body is going to make any better effort to enforce those types of things. So. We'll see. We'll see. We can come back and compare it in 5 years and see where it stands, you know.
I really don't think it'll change that much. I mean,
it's minimal.
The U.S. is part of ICANN, I believe, anyway, so we'll still have a voice and say in it. It's just, it's kind of like, you know, we created this thing for the world, and now the world wants to take it away from us. It's like,
I don't know if that's the best way to put it. It's not that they want to take it away from us. They just want to, like anything that you know, is used by many people, you know, like a lot of things that were, you know, created weren't necessarily created in the U.S., but it's used by a large number of people. So, you know, there needs to be something, you know, when other countries feel like
all the other stuff we've given them, we just gave it away. Lights, electricity.
Well, it works a little bit both ways. There's
cars,
some other things,
highways, all kinds of stuff. They just take and take and take. We can't just keep the internet to ourselves. I don't agree with it, but I don't have any say on it.
Justification for them wanting it, and since there's little to no reason why, you know, because it doesn't really cost us anything, I say go ahead and do it just for general better public relations. I mean,
I guess. Yeah, I saw that Phoenix too. I didn't really think that was newsworthy that Uber is steadily losing money. this past year. So
yeah, it's so hard with all the cities and governments putting in, regulation and people doing, the tax or whatever that they've got to pay and all sorts of other things.
Outright banning them, basically.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, man. I'm surprised they did as well as they did up to this point.
Phoenix, you would think the NSA backdoors would be because we control it, not because we hand it over to somebody. But yeah, Beavis, yeah, they have been trying to get that for years, and I mean maybe that's what upsets me is that we're finally giving into it. And who knows if Al Gore is going to get paid in this deal for his creation? We may never know. And sure, if you can figure out a way to give Justin Bieber back, let us know.
I think Al Gore just likes awards. I'm not so sure.
No, Al Gore created the internet, and
he just wanted a sticker one day, and somebody put a sticker on and said, "You created the internet," and he was, that's where that came from.
Hold on one sec here. We got this is an important ransomware update. This is called Phantom Ransomware, and it encrypts your files while pretending to be a Windows update.
I haven't seen this one yet. Thanks for that.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That I mean, and it does look like the Windows 8, Windows 10.
So I'd like to say something just real quick. So Phantom is yet another EDA2 variant. Okay, EDA2 was a ransomware educational thing posted by a guy with questionable. Anyway, I think he did intend it to be educational, but it just basically gave everyone a fully working infrastructure for a piece of ransomware. And it was also, because it was educational, it's very easy for people to modify and adapt. And it's been one of the kind of the worst things that's happened to ransomware, because I've not seen another piece of ransomware in all my travels that has as many variants as this. And it's sad that still to this day is an issue, and this happened a long time ago.
It does look like the main things are getting put in root of app data and root of the user profile. So those are two places CryptoPrevent would protect against anyway. So that's cool. Wow, they got a lot more targeted extensions. I'll have to make a note of those.
Yeah, they keep growing in the number of extensions that are coming out, but I've also been impressed by the initial variants, the EDA2 variants. The initial variants were not very sophisticated. They were just change an extension and just everything basically that the web form you originally used to create it would allow you to do. But since then, they've kind of taken it a bit farther, and some have added some really sophisticated stuff to it, to tell you the truth. And it looks like this is employing some of those things at least, but the good news is at least it's still dropping in relatively well-known locations, and locations that CryptoPrevent can protect against. So that's good.
Yeah. So I thought this was an interesting article. It's a BBC Culture surveyed a bunch of film critics and came up with a list of the top films for the 21st century. And what was funny about it is I read another article later today that this person was extremely upset that the article was titled "The Best Films of the 21st Century," but it included films from the year 2000. So in the article, they do say that the list is of the top 100 films released since the year 2000. But this person was extremely upset about the fact that they called it the 21st century and they included the last year of the 19th century. So
look, I mean, I understand. I'm all about it. We start counting with one. There was no year zero. I get that, but I really think it's sort of a moot point, and a lot of people were making that mistake if in 1999, with the whole 2000 rollover and the dawn of the new millennium, and really that was 2001. So of course we had the millennium bug to help.
Well, I mean, it would be the turn of the century, would be accurate, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know if that is if things should be criticized that closely, but it is worth mentioning. And I just don't know that there shouldn't be bigger things that people should be worried about than being off by.
Especially to write an entire article on. Geez, I didn't even read the first. Like I read the first paragraph maybe. I was like, oh, that's all he's talking about. Stupid. The list is actually pretty good. They do have quite a few good movies on there and fairly well ordered, I felt. Some things, of course, personal preferences higher and lower, but.
And you also know that like movies late in 1 year and early in the next year typically look about the same stylistic wise too, so I don't know if that's that big of a deal. Anyway.
So this was an interesting math problem. We've done a couple of these before, like the, I forget the name of it now, that crazy unsolvable problem. But this one is a solvable problem, but it's been described as one of the hardest math problems ever. And they actually put it on, I believe, the 1988 or 1986 Math Olympics, which, if you did not know, they apparently have a Math Olympics every year where the top mathletes is what they call them, from all the countries around the world gather together in a different country each year to compete. It's about 260 to 300 participants on average. And what was interesting was this problem was it's called the Legend of Problem Number 6, or Legend of Question Number 6. And let me type that in here. And what was interesting about it was, so they had this German, West Germany. It was still in the time of East and West Germany. This West German submitted this problem to the Math Olympics to be added on their test. And the Math Olympics have this like thorough review of the questions and such, and essentially how they do that is they give the problem to the top mathematicians in the world that are participating, and they give them about 6 hours to try to finish this problem and see what the results are. Not a single one of those top mathematicians figured out the problem.
That's a good validation of it being
possibly even
issue
completely, but they still decided to add it to the Math Olympics thing. And this is, Math Olympics are people under the age of 20, so it's not old people.
They're
it's
really
like
you can't be
all the Math
into?
Olympics. No, it's a pre-college level activity. So
okay, I mean
20 to
well,
do it.
Okay, so there was one question that nobody might answer.
The top mathematicians in the world couldn't figure out this question, and they're like,
So
"All right,
how'd
let's
the kids do? How'd the kids do? How'd the kids do?
The kids did just as bad as horrible, but there was about, I believe they said 20 or so that actually did solve the problem.
So it is solvable.
And well, yeah, it was a solvable. When they submitted the question, they gave them the answer. But
okay, yeah.
They about 20 kids did get the answer, but not completely. There was only one kid that got the answer entirely correctly, and he didn't even get a gold medal. He got a silver medal with a best mention.
Why?
So apparently the way they score those things is you have 6 problems, and they do 7 points apiece depending on how complete you provided the answer.
Wow.
And not doing it all the way, which it has like a third step that you would never realize unless you were extremely smart or noticed it, still got you the 7 points. So as long as you figured out the majority of it, you still got 7 points. You didn't have to go the full route that this kid did, but he figured out the full thing. So if you do not want to figure out that problem on your own, as they suggest at the end of the video, here is the answer to that problem and how you figure it out all the way to the complete and total end, which it was actually pretty interesting. So if you like math and stuff, check it out. I thought it was pretty good. So, Nick, did you ever watch the Little Dicky thing?
I did last night. Yeah,
That thing was hilarious, was it not?
it was not. No, it was good. Yeah. It was good. It was all right, I guess.
He's having sex in the bathroom. There's no way he's responsible enough to raise a kid. So this is what we're talking about. It
was kind of funny to me, but honestly, he's he's going to have to figure out something else than just, I guess, I don't know. He's just
the awkward comedy is not my favorite either. Like, he could be a little bit less awkward and more about follow through or something, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's got so much. I mean, it only goes so long. I guess conceitedness of his attitude. It only goes so far, Yeah. But I mean, it's good for commercial though. If you don't know who he is, you'll love it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I thought Proctor laughed at it as well, but
it's funny.
So I am so upset that they're making this. I'm so upset that they made any American versions of this, but apparently, if you've not heard, they're making another sequel for Ring, and it's going to be called Rings, and it's another American version of it, but it looks absolutely horrible. Like, if you've not seen Ringu, the original Japanese version of it, then
it's pretty good, by the way.
You've not watched any kind of Ring horror movie at all. All of the American versions are terrible. Like, the only thing good about the American remake was they had better graphics. It was actually, they made the story worse though. Like, the Ringu, everything about it was just so well done that I feel like they should have just dubbed over it and released it in America, not tried to redo it. But man, this new one looks so stupid. I can't even believe that they're doing that series. It's just so upsetting. And speaking of that, there's another one too that's extremely upsetting, and I don't feel it's going to be that great. But that is the Blair Witch is coming out with a new movie sequel as well, and I honestly thought the first one was terrible, so maybe I'm biased, but this one looks slightly just as terrible.
Another one?
Yeah. They've only had 2 so far, and the second one.
Sure, there wasn't a third one. I thought there was a third.
I'm pretty sure there was only 2. So yeah, that's that. Let's see. I think that may be about it. Let me see if I got one more thing here.
Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Oh, so I thought this was a pretty good music video. I've slightly mentioned her on the show before, but this is Snow the Product and Snooze. Fairly well done activist rap here. The best line in there that really caught my ear was Americans want everything to be bigger except their clothes. It's like, yeah, that really hit the nail on the head there. Other than that, here's just a couple other music videos. These are actually 2 of my friends in Colorado.
Oh.
That's a music rap video that they made. And oh, this one is great. This is an old one, but really good. If you've not seen MeTube, August Sings Carmen Habanera, watch this video. Seriously, watch this video. all the way to the end. You will not be disappointed. You might be slightly bored at the beginning of it, but this is by far probably one of the better done YouTube music videos I've ever seen. And it's a great song, so if nothing else, you at least get that. But well, that's awesome, Jay Chamberlain. You're close enough to visit Colorado all the time. Man, I wish I was. I wish I had never left, but you know, things happen. So, I think that is about it, and we have reached our hour time limit for today. So, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I'll drop just one more music video because I came across this in my nostalgic search for music this afternoon. Great little song there. So that's awesome. That's more than close enough to Colorado. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Phoenix, hopefully I'll have that Holy Crypt demo so you can see how well that stuff is coming along. I do still have a few things that I want to add before I'm able to release it. One of those things is the white label stuff that I mentioned, but then also I want to add whitelisting so you can not have certain programs be killed if you don't want to. And I also want to add email alerts on those as well. So those are two different things that I still have to add, and then we'll be able to release it. But hopefully I should be able to demo it to you tomorrow because I think I got the timing stuff about worked out there. But we'll see how that goes. What?
Oh, nothing. I was just looking at Rover's comment. CCSD. I was like, oh, DOS CAD. I have one of those, but it's not it. It's RoboCAD. Actually, I probably really have to do some searching for that. But anyway, sorry.
I have never even used a DOS CAD, so.
Oh, they were out there. AutoCAD, yeah.
AutoCAD was, yeah, they had a DOS back then.
Back in the day. I hadn't actually heard of CCSD particularly. I think I heard of the one you mentioned. What was it? TurboCAD or?
RoboCAD.
There was a TurboCAD. I had that too.
Yeah, TurboCAD. It wasn't RoboCAD.
That was Windows 3.1 though.
Okay. Oh, that might as well have been done.
Yeah. Well, no, but just ran worse.
Ran on top of it.
Yeah, but
all right. So let's
go ahead. Really. It's cool, Michael.
Just want to make sure. So thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Definitely, if you have any questions about our proxy services, that is what we're here for. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. So shout out to the haters and thanks for watching.
Thanks, haters.
Brian.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for dropping by every day.
Yeah. Just increasing the view counts.
Appreciate it.
You can take us out, Proctor, anytime. Can Proctor hear us?
Yeah, working on it.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Beavis. We know you're the one. We know you're the one.
Maybe he's just dyslexic and it looks, the dislike is backwards form or something.
He's slow. He's not dyslexic.
Proctor, did your computer lock up there?
XSplit is unresponsive.
And we're still alive because David saw me when I said or when I said.
Yeah. We are still live.
Ah, gee.